Hi, I'm Andy Webb from BeCleverWithYourCash.com and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now in this video, it's part 2 of a series I've got, how to save yourself £1,000. It's my money makeover, your kind of couch to 1K, £1,000, based on all the stuff I did when I was helping families on Channel 5's Shop Smart Save Money. It's all really easy stuff. You can do it at home, you can do it week by week as I release these videos, or you can blitz them all over a weekend or a month, whatever you want to do. But it's easy stuff, and if you go through pretty much most of the stuff here, you won't necessarily be able to save on everything that I do because you might already be doing some of these things. You might already have a few of those savvy habits, but I'm pretty sure that I can save you at least £1,000 just by changing some of these simple behaviours, making sure you have a look at your bills, your spending, clear those debts, all those kind of things, and that's what I'm going to be talking about. So this is week 2, and what I'm going to concentrate today is the first of those big bills. I'm going to look at your mobile phone bill. Now the big problem with mobile phones used to be that when you took out a contract, you were often paying for your handset and your minutes, your data and your text as one big bill. It's a combined price. You'd have that for a couple of years, and then in theory your contract was up, right? So you had that flexibility to maybe get an upgrade if you wanted, or just to, keep the phone you've got. The problem was, if you didn't do anything about that contract, you didn't do anything at all, you'd carry on paying that same amount every month. And I say that included that handset price. So that would be very, very, very expensive. People could easily be wasting £300-400 a year by doing that. Now there is a small chance you might be doing that right now. You might have been on a contract that's expired, but you've carried on paying. However, recent rules from Ofcom mean that when you get to an end of a contract, not only does the phone network have to let you know your contract is finishing, but they have to move you to a cheaper deal. Not necessarily the cheapest deal, and not all networks do this, but most of you right now, there's less of a risk if you ended up paying those huge amounts more. I keep paying for that handset once you've already paid for it. But as I say, this doesn't mean these new rules are going to mean you're on the cheapest deal. It doesn't mean your network's going to do it. So I would recommend you go through these following steps to really, really, really bring down the price of your mobile phone bill. Now, the first thing I want you to do is work out exactly what you need from your mobile phone network. Unlimited minutes, unlimited texts, you probably don't need that, but most networks will give you that now, or they'll give you a pretty hefty allowance because, let's face it, we don't text message as much as we used to, we don't make phone calls as much as we used to because we're all using instant messenger devices like WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, we're using FaceTime, all these kind of things. So those kind of things don't matter as much. What's really, really key here is your data allowance. Now, this was the one thing that winds me up quite a lot when I see these adverts in papers, in shops, trying to say, look at this fantastic deal, only 15 quid for 20 gigabytes of data, only £20 for unlimited data. I mean, they sound like good prices compared to what we've been paying traditionally to get unlimited data, as much data as we want for a pretty reasonable price. Sounds fantastic, doesn't it? But you do not need that much data. The vast majority of people, and this might surprise you, right? The vast majority of people are happy with 4-5 gig of data. They don't need much more than that. Okay, yeah, absolutely. The more we use our phones for different things, that is going to creep up. The more intensive kind of apps and ways we use our phones, yeah, absolutely, that will over time creep up. But right now, I bet if you have a look and work out exactly how much data you normally use, most of you will find it's quite a small amount of data. You might even be less than that. And even if you are more than that, I'd be quite surprised if you are getting anywhere towards that 8, 12, 20, 40 unlimited data, unless you're using it instead of a broadband at home, and that's how you access the internet all the time. Most of us, we don't need to do that, okay? So, 2 things to talk about with data, because I think this is the most important thing where we do overpay right now. Try and reduce how much you use by, when you're at home, simply connect to your Wi-Fi. Really, really simple, right? You're at home, you're on Wi-Fi, that means you aren't using your data and your Wi-Fi is already bundled in with everything. You don't need to worry about that. You can also think about, let's say you tended to download a movie to watch it on your daily commute. Well, rather than stream it or download it directly from your phone, do it when you're at home on Wi-Fi, so it's there for you to listen to or watch whatever it is, music, videos, all that kind of stuff. Just have it there. So you're going to use a lot less data. They're the really intensive stuff on using up your data. So you can reduce what you use. But you also need to work out, and this is really simple, just check what your how much you're using of your allowance right now. So most networks will let you do this on your online account, on the internet, on your computer, or on your phone. Just download the app and it will show you exactly how much you use month by month. And that's going to be your benchmark, isn't it? So use that as your kind of right. If I'm currently only using 3 gig every single month, that means you want to be getting 3, 4, 5 gig. You don't need anything more than that. If you then think you can reduce it even more, fantastic. But at least at this interim level, this first level, just go for a little bit above what you tend to use. That will bring down your bill a huge amount. But what you then need to be doing, this is the next step, once you've worked out exactly what you need, it's about thinking, should you be doing this in the normal way you would get this, which is traditionally would be, I say, in that contract with your existing network, whether you upgrade every 2 years, and get a new phone, or whether you just keep those minutes and texts and datas with them, okay? What I would recommend you doing is going for something called SIM only. Now, you know what a SIM card is, right? That's what you get from your network, you put it in your phone, and that will give you access to that network, so you're able to use your phone. Right, what you mean SIM only basically means you're just getting the SIM card from your network. You're forgetting about the phone, and we'll come back to the handset in a bit. Okay, once you get rid of that monthly cost of the handset, you are obviously making things a lot cheaper because you're only paying for that basic stuff. And once you've gone SIM only as well, as long as your phone is unlocked, and that's really easy to do. And again, we'll talk about that in a minute. Once you've got an unlocked phone, you have that freedom to go to any of the networks you want out there and really shop around. I'm going to talk about a lot on these videos, talk about shopping around, because that is how you often get the best deal on your bills. Now with a mobile phone, there's actually, this might surprise you, although there are so many different networks you'll see advertised, there's actually only 4 different networks. That's right, just 4, right? There's EE, O2, 3 and Vodafone. Every other network you see uses one of those networks. Okay, it's called Mobile Virtual Operator, right? MVOs, or it might be MVNO actually, Mobile Virtual Network Operator. So a good example of this is giffgaff. You know about giffgaff, it's got a really good reputation of being quite a cheap network. giffgaff works on the O2 network. So you will get exactly the same signal and service with giffgaff as you will with O2. Likewise, you've got something called Smarty, that works on the 3 network. You've got Voxy, which operates on the Vodafone network. There are so many of these, and you just need to find out which one they operate under. And the reason this is important, because I know a big factor for people why they choose a network is because they know it works for them in their home, in their area, in their workplace, the place they need for it to actually work. So you don't want to sort of risk, I'm not sure if I want to go and try X or try Y because I might not be able to get a reception. You can get around that really easily by just getting one of these virtual networks which works on the same thing. The only difference really you're going to have, there's 2 differences. One, price, fantastic. The prices generally are lower on these virtual networks than the main guys. But secondly, customer service. So that might mean just in terms of how you get in touch with them. It might mean some of those extras and freebies that you get. And it is worth considering whether you want to have some of those freebies that come with the bigger networks. For example, I'm with 3. I've actually managed to get a really good deal with them, and I have done for the last few years. The reason I like them is because it has data roaming worldwide. Not the whole world, but quite a few of the different countries in the world, rather than just Europe, which you get with the other networks. So for me, that's been worthwhile when I've been to the States a couple of times. That amount of money that I've saved just by having that is far outweighed the same as I might have made if I'd gone for a different network at home. Likewise, you might be interested in Vodafone because that has a reward scheme. O2 still has O2 Priority, not fantastic, but you might be tempted by that. EE gives away 6 months of movie streaming from time to time, things like that. So you might want to weigh up if you're paying for these things, do they factor in? But on the whole, that price is the most important factor here. So you get the allowance that you need at a lower price because you're going SIM only and you're moving around. Now, the other fear you might have about moving networks is taking your mobile phone number. You're having to get a new number, tell everyone about it. You don't need to worry about that. It is really easy. I have switched networks probably, I don't know, half a dozen times in my lifetime, and I've always been able to request what's called a PAC, the port authorization code. You get this PAC and you give it to your new mobile network, and within sort of 24 hours, your old number is put onto your new phone. And in fact, you don't even have to get in touch with them. You can do it by text now. It's really easy. It's all done for you. You don't have to worry about them trying to convince you to stay, anything like that. You can literally just get that transfer done. You're moved over to the new network, the old one's cancelled, and your number is transferred over. Really easy. And there are, as I say, big savings you can make here with those 2 factors. Okay, so you're only going to pay for what you need, the allowance that you need, and you're going to move yourself, you're going to shop around to a different network. Potentially, of course, you might find your existing network, you want to stay with them, they're offering a really good price, but you're saving money because you're lowering that data allowance. So they're the 2 big things you want to do to bring down your mobile phone bill. But what about phones themselves? How do you get hold of a new phone if you need one, if you're not doing it in a contract with your SIM? Now, most of the time, I would say 9 times out of 10, maybe even 99 times out of 100, you are going to get the best deal by breaking them out into getting a phone on its own and getting the SIM only. Sometimes you can get yourself a decent deal. So it's always worth having a look to see if there are any special offers for a combination of a new phone and the SIM deal together. Worth having a look. Make sure you look at cashback sites. In fact, you should look at cashback sites for the SIM only offers as well. Get a bit of extra cash there. Look at places, maybe not going directly to the network, sometimes going via Carphone Warehouse and other kind of online retailers that do that similar kind of thing. You can get better deals than you can directly with the network. Although you do have to bear in mind that they might not be following those same rules about when your contract ends lowering the price. So make a note of when your contract ends. Never let that contract run over, because there is still that risk, smaller than it was before, still that risk you'll pay too much money. But as I say, most of the time that is not going to be the cheapest way to get a new phone. The best way to do it is to buy it, as I say, on its own, okay? Because a lot of the time when you buy it combined, the networks put a premium on top. It's really weird how they do this, but even if you're buying a phone with a really small, upfront cost or a really large upfront cost, potentially you could pay the whole upfront cost as a contract and just be paying the monthly fee, it still works out that they're charging you more for the phone every single month. You're essentially getting a loan when you're spreading it out over 2 years, 24 months, sometimes 36 months. There is always a premium on top. So I wouldn't do that, okay? I really would avoid that. And of course, they were quite expensive. This is an iPhone. iPhones are not cheap. The newest sort of Samsung models, they are not cheap. You obviously can get cheaper phones. You can get older models, which is a great way to bring down the price. But if you do want the latest model, what you should be trying to do, is buy it outright. Ideally, you save up for that. So you put money aside every single month, but we know that's not always the easiest thing to do. But there are a couple of ways to basically still spread that cost out, but really bring the cost down. And essentially it's 0% finance. Now these deals do come and go. When I'm recording this right now, both Apple and Samsung do offer 0% deals over 24 months. That basically means you are paying no more than the total cost of the handset would be, which is, as I say, very different to if you did this directly with the networks themselves and bought the phones. They charge that premium. 0% finance basically means, if it was 240 quid over 24 months, you'd be paying £10 every month, and that is it. Obviously, a lot of these phones are a lot more than 240 quid, but it makes it much more affordable, okay? So look into that. If those deals aren't available because you want a different handset, perhaps from a different manufacturer, you could look at a 0% purchase credit card. Now, these work in a very similar way. The difference is at the end of that period, there is interest charged if you haven't cleared the balance, and obviously you do have to make a minimum repayment every single month. So it's a bit more down to you to make sure you are clearing that in the time available to you. But again, that's a really good way to spread the cost if you can't get one of these 0% finance deals directly with the manufacturer. But with all of those ones, you do have to consider as well, you will be credit checked. So if your credit history isn't fantastic, you might struggle with that. And the deals where you go directly to the manufacturer, it's harder to do what's called a soft check. Credit cards, you can do this you find out your chance of being accepted for the card, right? So if you've got a bad credit rating, I would tend to do one of those soft checks first of all on the credit cards, the 0% purchase credit cards, see how likely it is you're going to get accepted, because then you can weigh up whether it's worth making that application, because obviously every time you get rejected for credit, it's bad news essentially for your credit report. So there you go. If you can do that, get your phone separately and get your SIM separately, you are going to save yourself a huge amount of money. I reckon easily could be saving yourself 10, 15, 20 quid a month. And if you are already someone who's on a really high tariff for that data, with more data than you need, it could be even more money, because they can charge you a huge amount of cash. So this is big money we're talking about. And don't forget as well, when you do buy a new phone, of course you don't need to buy a new phone. They last for a decent amount of time. You can have it for 3-4 years rather than just that normal 2 years before you upgrade. Don't forget to try and sell it as well. Even if it's quite old, you might still be able to get a bit of cash, but more recent handsets, which are 2-3 years old, particularly those high-end ones, you can get a decent amount of money as well. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if just by looking at your mobile phone bills for you and potentially for your family as well, that if you haven't done any of these things already, you will be saving yourselves hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds every single year. Two last things to talk to you about in terms of mobile phones, and this is actually how you use it. And one of them is to be careful, although you have inclusive minutes, just be careful of numbers which aren't included. And often these are those kind of like 0845, 0870 numbers, which still do appear from time to time on customer service lines. Now, they will cost you a lot of money wherever you call them from, but they won't be included in your allowance. So there's a website that I would recommend. It's called Say No to 0870. You go onto this, and it's basically crowdsourced. People have found alternative phone numbers and they've put them on there. So they won't always work. They won't always get you to the place you want to go. But a lot of the time they do. And they will be 0800 numbers, or they'll be 01, 02 or 03 numbers, basically ones you can use for free with your allowance, okay? So that's another great way to avoid any of those extra charges. Similarly, try to avoid sending picture messages from your phone. Use WhatsApp instead, or wait till you're connected to the internet, because you'll get charged more often to send a photo via text message. And the last one is a way to maybe earn a little bit more money on your bill as you spend. Two ways, in fact. One of them, and I'll mention this a few times throughout these videos, is to get a cashback current account. Santander has two of these accounts right now. The 123 Lite is the one I would recommend. It's only £1 a month, but you get cashback on all your bills, including your mobile phone bill. A little bit extra every month is well worth it. And also there's something called Airtime Rewards. And this is an app. Download it to your phone and then scan your Visa or MasterCard debit card or credit card, not American Express unfortunately, but scan your card. And then when you use that card at participating shops, and there are quite a few different shops on there, from Argos to Morrison's, from Pizza Express to Waitrose, use it in one of those shops and you'll get a little bit of that money back. And then once you've got £10 credit from all your different shopping, you can use that to cut down your bill as well. So a little bit extra way to save a bit of cash on your mobile phone bill. So that's it for part 2 of my £1,000 money makeover. Hopefully, if you go through these things, you're going to be well on your way to that target. In fact, it's probably going to smash it in just a few videos' time. The next part will be all about reducing your broadband bills. Now, everything I've spoken about today as well, you will find it over below this video in all those different further reading links, so you can click through and read more about everything I've spoken about, different websites to help you check signal, different websites to help you find those virtual networks, all those kind of things, maybe even a few deals as well to help you save on that SIM-only card. So until next time, cheers.